Jared.
Well, I got to say, I'm glad to see that we got some folks who are up for appointments with us tonight. That's great to be able to talk to folks a little bit before these things get considered. It's super late, so I don't really know how much time we're gonna be able to have conversation with folks, but I hope we can get something meaningful in the time that we have. Sergeant Koker, you're familiar with all of us. We're familiar with you. I believe we've all met. I don't know that anyone on council hasn't met you. Maybe Eric, since he's new enough, but we've all talked to you. Obviously, you have been involved in a couple of controversial issues over the last year and a half or so, and we've largely not heard anything from our Urbana police officers with regard to the arrest of Alea Lewis. There was also recently the video with you making a joke about a bystander who came up and was wondering what you were doing, and that you were bothered by the fact that he asked you what you were doing, and so he was interested in what was happening on the public streets with Urbana police officers. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts on both of those cases in consideration of your promotion.
I will intercede here. The Alea Lewis case is still an ongoing criminal case, and we can't comment on that publicly. So for this appointment, you
cannot, you choose not to comment on it. It's not a cannot.
We do not comment on ongoing cases.
That's not correct, Jared.
Under what statute that says that you cannot comment? What law says that?
We are public officials, and there's an ongoing criminal case, and in order for the defendant to get a fair trial among her peers, we will not comment on an active criminal case.
That's not a law.
So if you have questions regarding education, experience, 22 years with the Urbana Police Department, anything else, feel free to ask. But that particular case, no.
Well, what about the other incident with the comment to the gentleman who was observing? I don't believe there's any criminal case ongoing with that one.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Miller. In regards to that situation, I think as all officers are humans, we sometimes lament sometimes. I did see an individual who was walking by who was curious. He grabbed my attention simply because he had circled us a few times. So obviously when we were dealing with two young men at the time on a complaint, I wanted to make sure initially that he was not going to be a threat or that he was not involved with anything that we were doing at the time. So yes, I did lament and I mentioned something about, I don't know what he was wondering about what we were doing. And I did lament to another officer exactly what happened on the video.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess, it just comes back to, what are we supposed to, do you regret that you did it? Should you have acted differently? I mean, what are we supposed to go? Yes, you admit that you did it. Obviously everybody's seen the video that you did it, but how do you feel about it now that it's out in the public? Do you have any other thoughts about it other than, yeah, I did it?
I don't think that situation will define my career, nor that does it define my person or my character. It was a moment where I got caught doing something, which is a human nature. That's what I feel about that.
And I understand. I mean, we all, I've said things that I regret. I've certainly disrespected people. I'm far from a perfect person, so I understand that. I guess the only, and I won't press it any further than this. I guess the only thing I would say is that we, I think, expect, especially people in positions of leadership within police departments, to be held to a higher standard, or I shouldn't say a higher standard, a high standard, a very high standard. And to casually put off somebody who's just concerned about the safety of their fellow residents, I don't know. It's the character flaw in it without expressing, I don't know, something that brings I don't know, some semblance of remorse, or we need to be better than that. And I've learned from that. And I'm just curious if there's any inkling of that from that experience.
Well, I definitely will do my best to improve from this point. Obviously, I know that this position carries a large weight, and I'm willing to take under my duties and take care of my officers, and also address any problems that the city may have or citizens may have in regards to police services or calls for service. But I hope to earn your trust back, Mr. Miller.
Any other questions for Mr. Koker? Sergeant Koker?